Hey everybody, I'm going to show you how to make a automatic gravity fed deer feeder or wildlife feeder for $30. Just need like 4 or 5 items here. This is a piece of 4-inch PVC. I got it at Lowe's. Only cost about $10. Got a Y. That cost about $8, I think. Got an end cap. Cost about $7. And I've got a knockout test plug that costs less than $1. Of course, your 4-inch pipe is going to be the body of your feeder, and then you're going to fit your Y onto the bottom of it like that. What that'll do is feed will come down there, and then it'll just dump out here just like a gravity feeder. If you got a dog or a cat, you got a feeder, automatic feeder, it's the same thing. Some people just take the I've seen some people just take this, maybe cut a notch or something out in the bottom of it and just use that, and that'll work, but that'll be sitting on the ground, and depending on what kind of feed you're using, your ground is damp and moist and everything, it might just kind of clog up your feeder. If like say you're using sweet feed, and it get wet, it just turns into a big muddy mess, So by using that, by using the Y here, that'll keep it up off the ground a little bit, so it won't be, hopefully clogging up as bad on you. This knockout plug, I'm going to put it up into the bottom of the Y on this end. That'll keep the feed off the ground a couple inches. Like I said, it'll keep it off the ground just a little bit, and still, let it flow out real good. So I'm just going to epoxy this plug up in there. You could have got another end cap and done the same thing. Might have been a little easier, but I just trying to do it as cheap as possible, so I just got that. I'm just going to glue it up in there and go with that. Okay, I've got that glued up in there, if you can see it. I'm just using this quick grip all-purpose adhesive. It's really good, sets up real fast. Also, when I set that on the ground, I'll kind of maybe set a rock or something up in under that just to make, kind of help it hold, make sure the weight of the feed maybe don't push it down or whatever. But that, will keep it up off the ground, and any moisture or anything hopefully won't be able to get up there and clog it up there at the bottom. By using this Y too, that'll kind of keep any rain or anything from kind of getting in there. Your feed will kind of pour out here, and hopefully will get eat up enough, it won't be getting any moisture or rain or anything. Will be able to get back up in the tube and be clogging it up. If you have any clogs, it'll be out here where you can just kind of kick it away or whatever. The animals should be able to take care of it. But now all I'm going to do is just going to glue this piece to this. Of course, you don't glue your end cap because you'll be popping that off the top to pour your feed in. So I'm going to glue this. I'll probably use the same stuff. It works pretty good, sets up fast, so I'm going to glue it up. You probably wouldn't have to glue this in here. You could probably shove it in there tight enough to be all right in case you ever needed to take it apart or whatever. But I'm gonna go ahead and glue it, just make sure, try to keep any moisture, all the moisture I can out of it. it's ready to go, set out in the field. So I'm going to load this on the truck. We'll go out to my feeding area and we'll set it up, show you how to set it up there. Hopefully get it up and running. This is my area here. Just cleaning it up a little bit. A lot of little undergrowth. Kind of getting it out of the way. Normally, you would just take the deer feeder and scrap it or connect it to a tree somehow. But I don't really have a tree here in the little area that I'm using. So I'm going to use a metal pole. I'm going to drive it in and scrap it to that. That'll work. I made a little modification to it after I got it down here and got looking at it. Just sitting on the ground on that Y, I thought it was a little too close to the ground. I wanted it lifted up a little bit. So I cut a piece off the top of my feeder tube here, about 6-inch piece, and I stuck it on there and I played around with it a little bit, and I wound up having to dig a little hole out, but I've got it now to where it sets up about 2 inches off the ground. And I think that works out pretty good for me. I mean, I like it. I think it'll make it a little bit bigger pile without being too big. You may, you know, if you want to just leave it sitting on that Y on the ground, you can, or you can, you know, like I say, cut a piece off the top and play around with it, adjust it, get it to up and down, you know, to whatever suits you. But like I say, I put that 6-inch piece on the bottom, and I thought it was a little too high, so I just dug a little hole there underneath and let that go down in it. So now it's picking up out of the ground about 2 inches, so I think that's going to work out pretty good. You want to try to get a decent little pile, but don't want too much out there, you know, just going to waste, you know, in case the deer aren't hitting it very often. I'm going to put about 3 of these zip ties on it. One top, the bottom, and the middle. I think that'll hold it all right. Got a little bit of a bag of sweet feed and a new bag of corn. I'm going to kind of mix it up a little bit and use that on my feeder. Kind of short, but I'm going to try to pour it in. If you get any on the ground, it's no big deal. The turkeys and deer, you know, the wildlife, they'll put it to good use. So if you spill any, it ain't no big deal. I don't know if you can see it from way over there, but it's making a pretty good little pile there. Okay, it's about 3 inches from the top using 2 of these buckets. I think these are like 2.5 gallon buckets, so that's roughly, you know, you can get roughly about 5 gallon in one of these things, so that's not bad. Like I say, I cut 6 inches off the top of it, so that's a pretty good bunch of feed. There's the feed. It's about 3 inches from the top there using 2 of those buckets that I've got. I'm gonna put the end cap on it there. That'll keep the rain and everything out of the top of it. Still let me just pop it off there to put more feed in. And there's my scraps. And there's the pile of corn. Pretty decent little pile. Of course, as they eat it, it'll just continue to gravity feed out of there. That's what you want it to do. That should be fairly, like I say, waterproof. So using this little pellet sweet feed, or any of these little pellet feeds that, you know, they have, when they get wet, they're bad to just turn into a big mud bog. You know, they really just cake up and they would clog up. But I think the setup I got here will allow it, even though, you know, it gets some rain on it, it'll still be able to feed out and everything as they eat it. That is my $30 automatic feeder, I think, which will make things easier on me, because I was having to just carry it down here like a bucket at a time and dump it out for them. And which, you know, I've got my feeding area. Of course, I got my salt block there. I got a salt block that's about gone. I just put out a new one. I threw down an apple block. I've got it there for them. And my feeding area is just right below my house, if you can see it up there. It's about 100 yards from my cabin, so I can watch the deer and the turkeys and everything. There's deer and turkey out in this field back here just about every evening. So I wanted to put my little area right here. I've had it here for a while. That way I can, you know, just from the window of my house, you know, I can watch them feed and everything. I saw a 6-point buck down here yesterday, so hopefully if I ain't stirred stuff up too much, he'll come back tonight and have him a nice feeder to try out there. I'm gonna set up my game camera here. I've got some trees around. I'll put a game camera on, just kind of keep an eye on what's going on. Like I say, if you got a tree that you can hook the feeder to, that's great. You know, that'll work great. But if not, you know, just get one of those metal poles and put in the ground. You know, I mean, that worked just fine. But I'm gonna get out of here, and that is my deer feeder and feeding area. Like I say, give it a shot. You know, $30, hard to beat that. You know, it'll work for deer, you know, turkey, you know, any kind of wildlife. Just, you know, depends on what kind of feed you want to put in there.